Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Joey's Scarf. This is a knitting and crocheting and yarn podcast, and this is episode 34. My name is Lynda, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Lynda Grace. It is a beautiful, beautiful day today here in Barnegat, New Jersey, which is near the Jersey Shore. And it looks like the temperatures are going to be in the 70s. It's really pretty. The sky is blue. It looks a little gray here, but it's actually, because of the glare of the window, it's actually very, very blue skies. I'm sitting in my sunroom, and it's getting quite warm in here, so I'm going to try and move this along. It's been about a month, I think, since I podcast last, and at that time there is a Ravelry group for the Joey Scarf podcast. And we were doing a knit along, a memorial knit along. It would be the third annual memorial knit along for Joe, my son Joe, who passed away from colon cancer. And for the past 3 years, we've been doing a knit along in his honor. So the knit along is over. It ended. It's over. I haven't locked the thread yet, but. It's over, and I picked a couple of winners, one out of the finished object thread and the other out of the chatter thread. So I'll be now announcing them shortly. So, but right now I want to talk about some knitting, and I'm going to show you my first finished object. Okay, my first finished object is a hat that I had been working on the last episode. And because today is like a summer day, it feels kind of funny to be showing a hat. Especially this hat is very thick and very warm. And it's just a plain hat pattern, nothing fancy. But I did use mohair in this. I don't know if you can see the pink mohair. So I held a strand of mohair together with worsted weight yarn. And gray yarn, worsted weight, and pink mohair. And then I did the pom-pom with the combination of both of those two. I don't know if you can see the mohair. I love the hat, and it fits perfectly. I like it. Pom-pom. And like I said, it's definitely not hot weather here today. Okay, my next finished object is a shawl that I made. And I had gone to our big box craft shop called AC Moore. And they had a bunch of acrylic yarn. This is it. And it's Isaac Marahi, designer. He has his name on it. I don't know if he actually designed the yarn or not. But this is Premier Yarns. And it's all acrylic. But it does have some sparkly sequins all throughout. And I thought, I like the sparkly. Let me see what I can make with this. And the reason I bought it is because I got 7 skeins of these for $7. And I couldn't pass it up. And each skein has 99 yards, and yeah. Let me show you what I made first. This is the RoadTrip scarf. It's crocheted, and I guess she's known as Zooty Owl. Okay, and I've made these before and I really like them. And so that you can get a full idea of how it looks on, I'll put some pictures in. But this is basically the scarf, the shawl. And it looks nice. I like the way the pattern crochets up. I've made these before and I really like them. Not happy with the yarn at all. And I guess, you know, the old saying, you get what you pay for. It's pretty yarn, but I'm going to be a little bit of a yarn snob. It's acrylic, and I have become used to knitting with natural fiber, and it really makes a difference. Some acrylics are really nice. I've knit with some really nice soft acrylics. This one, I think the problem with this one is all of the sequins makes it very scratchy. So I'm not quite sure what one would do with this yarn. But it was an experiment. I guess if I wear it so that it's not touching my skin, it would be okay. And I felt like obligated to knit with this yarn since I had 7 skeins of it. So I used 5 skeins. I have 2 skeins left, which are probably going to get donated to our local secondhand shop. My third finished object. This microphone is probably staticky here, but it is the, let me get it. It's one of those cocoon shawls, and it's showing up really red, but it's actually very burgundy. I added some pockets onto it, and you really can't see too well, but I'll put some pictures of me wearing it. It was like the fad. Everybody was making these, and they looked really cute, and I decided I wanted to make one. It's my version, and actually it's just a huge granny square. I think I made mine like 39 inches, and then you just sew up the sides for the sleeves, and then I just added some pockets. I have been wearing it around the house in the morning when it's a little chilly. This is again, yarn that I got at A.C. Moore, their brand of acrylic, and it's not bad. You know, this is very, very warm and heavy. Too warm for the spring. And I noticed that the acrylic I washed this too just to soften it up, and I've noticed that it is picking up everything, hair, lint, whatever. I don't know if it's just because of the color or and sometimes I just like to have my hands going, not necessarily worrying about what the project is, as long as I'm crocheting. And this was a good way to keep my hands busy and my mind occupied without having to think about a pattern or what I was doing. And again, I can wear this around the house. I don't know if I would wear it out. I think it looks good on some people. I don't know how good it looks on me, but for warmth, it's fine. And I think if you just search for like crocheted granny square cocoon sweater, there's tons of patterns out there, and it's really, really simple. And I don't know if I would recommend it. I think it seemed too simple just to make a granny square and sew up the sides. I think I would probably like something with a little bit more structure. So that's my opinion, and that's the crocheted granny square cocoon sweater. Last episode I talked about making the Kleur shawl, which is this one, and that's Kleur is the name of the shawl by Ann Metz. Yeah, I had all the different mini skeins I was going to use, and I had it all planned out, and then I started making it. and or I started it, and I got a little bit along and realized that this is not the shawl for me. I found it a little more complicated than what I'm used to dealing with, and I was getting frustrated, and I don't like to get frustrated when I'm knitting. I like to be relaxed and having fun when I'm doing it. So I frogged it and decided to make something more along the lines of what I would feel more comfortable with. So I decided to just wing it and just do my own thing. And this is what I came up with. And I just like the colors in the yarn. I believe this yarn and this yarn is Kim Dye's yarn. I believe those are her yarns. I don't have the band, so I'm assuming that those are her yarns. But I just I just decided to put some garter stitch and some lace and just go until I get tired of it, and then I'd stop. And I did a crochet bind off, which I'm kind of liking. I like the edging that it makes. And then I went around with single crochet around the edging, which I really like the way it came out. And this is very light, and I'm sure it'll get a little bit cool again, but probably something I can wear on a summer night or you know, that kind of thing. But I like the way it came out. And again, I had fun doing this because I was doing my own thing. And that's one of my finished objects. I've been doing a lot. Okay, I've been trying to do some Christmas sock knitting, and my original plan was to make the 24 pairs for the 24 days before Christmas, and that's not going to happen. But it's not stopping me from continuing to look in my stash and see if I have colors that might be nice for Christmas socks. And so I have like two pairs done already, which I think I've shown before. This is my latest pair. Don't know the name of the yarn or who made the yarn, but it's you know, it's the normal merino nylon blend, and just a plain pattern with an afterthought heel, and it's starting at the cuff and working down. But yeah, I'm filling up my box a little bit. It might be like the 12 days of Christmas, I don't know. I started another pair, which I'll show in a minute. But I think that's it for my finished objects. And I feel like I'm rushing along here. It's very warm in here, so I guess maybe that's why. I just wanted to take a break for a minute and say hello to Victoria from Victoria Knits. And I just wanted to say I was very happy to see that she is going to continue to podcast. She was rethinking her podcast, as I do every once in a while. For me, it is it's a way to connect to other knitters. Sometimes I feel once, you know, 3 or 4 weeks go by and I haven't done a podcast, I feel a little under pressure to do one, but then I think I'm sure the people who are watching and the people I've made long-term connections with are going to come around and see me whenever I'm on. So that's kind of the attitude I'm having right now. If you've never podcasted before, especially doing something like this where I'm speaking by myself, I don't have anyone to feed off of, and it can be a little stressful sometimes. But one of the things I am happy about is that I got to meet Victoria, not quite in person, but we have video chatted, and I'm glad I found her. She's a nice lady. So probably if you watch me, you have watched Victoria, and I would recommend you to watch her podcast. It's beautiful. She lives in Montana, and the scenery is spectacular. So give her a go. Okay, I'm going to start showing some works in progress. And the first one I'm going to show is another Christmas sock for my Christmas sock box. And I have one done, and I just started the second sock. I love this yarn. This is Miss Bab's yarn, and it's her Hot Shot, I think, line. It's really nice yarn. I wanted to make the leg a little longer on this one. There's where I'm going to put my heel. What I found, it's an obvious thing. These skeins that we buy from the indie dyers, they are 100-gram skeins, I believe, and I find I always have leftover. And I don't know what you guys do with your leftovers, but I don't know, they might be enough to make a shorty pair of socks, but I kind of, like if I have a pair already with this yarn, I really don't want to make a shorty pair. So I'm wondering if there was a way that the indie dyers, I guess when they buy their, I don't know anything about it, but I'm assuming when they buy their yarn, that's the way the yarn comes in the 100-gram skeins. So for them to break it apart, I guess, would be a little bit of a hassle. And I don't know, I probably use maybe, I want to say maybe 60 grams for a sock, for a pair of socks. So what do you do with 40 grams left over, you know? And that's my wish, that there was a way you could buy just the right amount for your socks so there's no leftover. But anyway, that's my first work in progress. Okay, another work in progress. I'm making this shawl. It's called the Duchess, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry. And I think I've made this before. It's got this self knitting fringe on it. I made it when I think this was one of the first shawls I made, and I gave it away, and I wanted another one, so I started another one. Now these fringes, they are a pain in the neck to make, but this is I'm just gonna take my time with this, knit on it when I feel like it, and maybe by winter time it'll be done. But it's kind of cool the way that looks. I like the way it looks, kind of bohemian. Unfortunately, I don't know who this yarn is by, and I should be better about when I start a project, putting it right into Ravelry when I have the yarn band, and I know the name of the yarn, because I take I'll wind up the yarn and somehow the band just disappears. So I'm sorry I don't know the name of this. It's really pretty though. I'm assuming that it's fingering weight. I don't think it's DK. And hopefully I'll have enough to finish this, but I've got quite a ways to go. Yeah, so every time I get bored with something else, I'll pick this up and I'll knit on this. Okay, so the next thing I'm working on, and I think after I finish the crocheted granny square cocoon, as I said, I felt like I wanted something similar to that kind of thing where you just kind of toss it on, but I wanted a little bit more structured so that it looked more like a sweater. And so I found this pattern, and I think it's really cute. It's got pockets. It's a little cardigan with short sleeves, and it's called the Eyelet V cardigan, and it's a free Ravelry download. I'm following along. I'm going to try and stick with it. Well, let me get it. Hold on. Okay. This is what I've gotten done so far. I've not the few sweaters that I've made have always been raglan sleeves and starting from the top and going down. This one is starting from the bottom, and it's got pocket. I have no idea because my mind does not think, or doesn't work. Like I can't look at a pattern and say, oh, this is how this is going to be constructed. I'm just following step by step by step, and hopefully I can continue to follow it that way, and it'll work out. Even though I talked about that acrylic yarn, I've decided to make this one out of acrylic yarn. And let me get the yarn. Okay, this brand is called, what is it? Studio Classic by Nicole. And I think this is exclusive for the yarn shop, the big box shop, AC Moore. And I think this is their brand of yarn. And actually, it is pretty soft and squishy. And I think because this is the stockinette with this yarn makes it feel squishy and soft. So I think I'm going to like this. And then I thought if I like it and I'm able to follow the pattern, then I might consider doing it out of wool, out of a better quality, I guess you could call it. I don't know. I don't want to seem like I'm bashing acrylic yarn because I'm not, but I want to say that this is like a practice for me to do this sweater, and I would rather practice with $6 yarn than $30 yarn, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm liking the way this is coming out. I've read a little bit further in the pattern, and I was starting to get a little confused, but I hope that I'll be able to work it through. So that is another work in progress. Okay, my final work in progress is the Isobel Shawlette. And again, it's a free pattern on Ravelry. I will, more detail. I will put any information that I think you might want in the down bar below. So I'll put the name of the pattern in there, and whatever yarn I know, I'll put. A lot of it, unfortunately, this time I don't remember the names of. But I did start the Isobel shawl, and this is how far I've gotten. And very easy pattern to follow. It's the usual increases on the side and increases down the spine here. So each side gets an increase, and then the spine, and it's stockinette. It's going very well. The yarn is gorgeous. And I do know the name of this yarn, and it's, oops, it's Legacy Fiber Arts, and it's their Cozy Toes, which is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And the colorway is called Becoming Mother. I kind of doubt that they have this colorway anymore. I think this was done when Chelsea was pregnant, but it's really pretty yarn. And it's very nice, knitting up very nicely. That's what I've been doing. Also, one of the things I've been doing is I write a blog. If you follow me, you know I write a blog, and the name of it is Lynda Grace, An Hour Away. And I've been participating in a blog challenge every year. They do, people that I follow, a group that I follow does a blogger challenge, and it's done in the month of April, and it's called the A through Z Blogger Challenge. And so the premise is that you write and post, you write a post and you post it every day in the month of April except for Sunday. So every day except for Sunday. So you wind up with like 26 posts. Well, you do. It's A through Z. So that's what I've been doing, and it has given me the chance and to go back to writing, which I really like, and I'm really enjoying it, and have been keeping up with it. I'm on letter. Today's letter was S, I think, for socks, and I only have a few more to go, and I'll be done. So that's been keeping me busy, and yeah, and I'm probably saying a lot on this podcast, but oh well. Okay, on to the next thing. Oh, I don't know if you remember from my last podcast. I don't remember what I talked about on my last podcast, so I don't expect you to remember. But I had just purchased an iPad Pro, and I was recording using that device. And I tried to get used to the iPad Pro, and I found that it just did not work for me. And I think you have like 14 days to return it to Apple, and they'll just take it as a return. And by the time I decided, it was maybe 3.5 weeks. But I figured I'm going to try and return it anyway. I really didn't want, I wanted to exchange it for a laptop. And so that's what I did. And so I got a new MacBook Air, which I absolutely love. And I am so glad people at Apple were very, very nice. There was no hassle. They did the exchange. And interestingly enough, the iPad Pro and the laptop were about the same price. So I think I made out much better in my trade because I do some writing, and the iPad just wasn't doing it for me. Besides the fact that a lot of my peripheral devices did not work with the iPad Pro, and so for me this was a much better exchange, just in case you're interested. Okay, so here's on to the winners of the Joey Scarf knit along. From the finished object thread, the winner is Flower and Flourish, and that's Jen, and she knit this beautiful, beautiful shawl. And there's Jen wearing it. And I was very touched by what she had to say. She wrote, "This is in memory of my dad who loved blue as well. It also has some peach and burnt orange for Joe," which touched me, and I'm very happy. Made me feel really warm and fuzzy. And the shawl is the Slumber Shawl by Stephen West, and the yarn is Spin Cycle yarn. So thank you so much, Jen. And I will reach out to you on Ravelry so that I can get your name and address, and I'm going to show you the goodie in a minute that I'm going to be sending you. And then the other person from the chat thread is her Ravelry name is Imcoll. Imcoll, I-M-C-O-L-L. Her name is Lynda, and she made these socks, orange and blue. And she wrote something very nice too. She says, "I knit these Central Park socks in memory of my friend Christy Packer. I can't believe she's been gone for 15 years now. She died of breast cancer at the age of 42. She found a lump when she was 32, but they decided to watch it instead of doing a mammogram since she was so young. Long story short, they diagnosed the breast cancer 2 years later. I had met Christy through my gym. We both love to ride bikes. I think of her often while biking on the same roads that we had biked together. She was a very special person. She taught me a lot about being kind and tolerant." I just love that. So Lynda, I'm going to reach out to you too to ask for your name and address so that I can send you a little something. Okay, so for Jen, from the completed projects thread, I'm going to be sending this to you, Jen. I hope you like it. It's springy colors with some little bit of neon in there, and this is by Anzula yarns, and the colorway is Gumball, and it is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And to go along with that is this project bag by Aggie's Bags, and the name of her shop is Aggie's Pearls by the Shore. And really like the bag too. It's really cute. Very nice, Aggie. So this is what's going to go off to Jen. And for Lynda, I chose this. And this is from Toad Hollow Yarns. And this is their sock toad, which is 80% merino and 20% nylon. And this color is Cobweb. And yeah, so that's going to go off to Lynda. So I think that's it for this podcast. I think that Ross might want to say hello, so I'm going to go grab him. And hang on a minute. Yesterday was Easter Sunday. I don't know if I mentioned the date at the beginning, but it was. Today is April 23rd, so it was Sunday was Easter Sunday.
Right.
And it was also my granddaughter's 15th birthday, Bella.
Your
Can't believe she's 15.
granddaughter's
Yeah, can you believe it?
birthday?
Beautiful, beautiful Bella. So
Oh.
we got together at my daughter's house, and it was a nice day.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so
But everybody stayed inside for quiet time.
kids were running around, the usual stuff. So
So here it is. You got one of your podcasts off,
yes, number 34.
34.
Mm-hmm.
You mean I'm missing out on all these?
Oh, I don't
I
think you're that
think-
much
I
interested.
think I may want to jump back in the water there.
And do what?
Get involved.
You're going to do your own podcast?
No, of course not.
Well, what kind of podcast would you do?
I'd just be kind of annoying.
Oh.
Let's go for a Tuesday ride.
Tuesday rides, which is different than a Sunday ride?
We can't be accused of being old Sunday drivers.
Just old.
Just old.
Old driver.
Okay, you can use this as a prologue or an end to one of your daily, what do you call these things?
This is not daily. This is like monthly.
Oh, this is, oh, okay. Well, we can add it up as one of our monthly info guides.
There's a couple of different, most podcasters who podcast by themselves without a partner are talkers. They can sit in front of the camera and just talk on and on and on.
Oh, I can do that.
I can't, if I don't have something to talk about, like something to show, then I have nothing to say. You, if I put you in front of the camera, you can just go on.
Well, no,
You're a talker.
Not really. I could deal with props. Whoops! What's that? I don't know.
But you just go on and on and on. One thing leads to another to another.
It makes it very easy. I don't have to remember anything.
Why is that?
Well, if I start talking about butter knives and I forget about what I'm talking about, it doesn't really matter. Or something like that. You know what I mean?
We have been playing Jeopardy every night.
That's true. My best night was 7 correct.
7? That's pretty good.
It used to be a lot more. I used to be really good at it.
Yeah. Well, if you're not watching Jeopardy, you should start watching, because there is a guy on there now who is unbelievable.
He's breaking every record they have written down.
Well, he hasn't broken the Ken Jennings record yet, because Ken Jennings went 74 straight
74
shows.
consecutive, yeah.
This guy is only on like show 12 or 14.
Yeah, but he knocks off 100,000,
Well, he's averaging $70,000 a game. Now, the guy is a professional
gambler.
Sports gambler.
Yeah, that's the legal term.
So he'll hit a daily double and just go like this, all in. He bets very aggressively, and he's very, very knowledgeable. Well, he knows a lot.
Poor.
Well, I'm sure he's very good at figuring the odds.
Well,
all right, so that's it for today.
Yes.
I hope it wasn't too rushed, but we do have things to do and places to go, and
people to
it's
see.
beautiful out, and we just want to go.
Okay.
Okay.
So long.
Bye-bye now.